All right, let's get started here. Thanks for joining us. This is the Triathlon Select Shades from Lutron, launched at CEDIA. We're excited to do an intro for this. Actually, we had an introduction during our virtual roadshow. This is going to get a little bit more in the weeds. We actually have Emily Matthews and Jason Davis here from High Tech Network. We're going to bring you through the easy process of how to get set up to sell shades from Lutron. So we're excited to have Emily and Jason here to kind of walk us through that process, show you all the different various solutions that you can use, a very economical way to get into shades if you haven't before. This is going to be recorded, and you could watch it on our virtual conference center and on the vendor page of Lutron. So without further ado, Emily and Jason, thank you for joining us today and getting us going, learning more about the new Triathlon Select Shades from Lutron.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a
Morning.
great morning. Yeah, I always
Oh,
forget.
real quick, too, if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and type it in the Q&A.
Yes.
And we'll get those answered for you because obviously your microphones are muted. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the Q&A. That'll be great.
More the better. We've got people on here to help answer them. So Lutron has, they entered the shade market a long time ago, around in the early 90s. And, they've been making, really good looking, reliable, technology filled shades for a while. And the latest shade is meant to help dealers just have another option to put a shade in any window in the house. So we're going to talk about the overall shade market, a little bit of overview on these new Triathlon Select shades, specs, integration, measuring, installation, and then we'll have some screenshots on how you get started. Unlike before, everybody has access to these shades as long as you sign up as a Lutron Pro. It's easily go and measure. There's no all-day training class. There are some YouTube videos, but we've made these shades super simple and easy and attractive. So let's get started. So overall market, in a normal home, you're doing a project, you might be selling some networking, some video doorbells, thermostats, cameras, maybe a couple zones of audio. But if you're not currently selling lighting and shades in a home, it's a big opportunity, because homes have more light switches and windows than they have rooms for speakers and TVs. So it's an easy way with Lutron, whether it's Caseta or Radio Raw. You can start small and scale it up, by just replacing devices. So it's an opportunity to grow your sales with new customers or even existing customers that when you first did their project, they didn't get light and shades. So that's great in theory, but some dealers think shades are complicated. And with these new shades, the only thing that you got to make sure you do right is measure the window. We've even got something to make that easy. Shades are difficult to estimate. Previously, you would have to measure the windows, go back and have a quote made, so you couldn't get customers pricing immediately. And sometimes if they're really interested, but everybody's done it. You take several days to get back to a customer, and their temperature to pull the trigger is, not as high as it was. And then shades are expensive. So with standard window sizes, you'll see shortly that these new Triathlon shades hit a price point that, frankly, I never thought was possible. So it's this is a great solution for you guys or ladies on the call. So Triathlon Select roller shades. Lutron's put together a great toolbox to help you, quote, lower the risk of measuring. And these shades are super easy to install just with a couple of screws. So makes it easier for your customers to say yes. If you notice, if you've ever have experience with other roller shades or even the standard Triathlon Selects that 21st has been offering for many years, these are an exposed bracket with a minimal profile. It's a very modern look. You just look simple and fits in with the aesthetic that is in a lot of homes being constructed today. So you see just an exposed bracket mount inside the window or to the window frame. These are wireless battery powered, so they take some D batteries right in the tube. So it's a great solution for all of your existing projects to sell more to customers you already doing business with. Oh, pardon me. These shades are aggressively priced. You can quote them in literally seconds. And they, using some of the basic fabrics in standard window sizes, they'll ship in about a week. These are flexible. There are many different ways to integrate shades. You can add them to a Lutron control system, whether that's a Caseta Pro Bridge, a RA3 system, or if they just want to add some shades to a bathroom, you can just put a Pico in this bathroom and directly control the shades just from a simple remote. So with these new Triathlon Select shades are not complicated. Wire free, batteries go right in the tube. There are 4 curated fabrics, 2 white and 2 gray. One's 1% and one's blackout. And it's a minimalist, modern design.
It's very easy. How is the battery life compared to the previous or the other shade solutions?
Yep. So these battery life is, Triathlon Select shades could be 3 to 5 years, depending on the size of the window, how heavy the fabric is. However, these are about 2 to 3 years. So that's still, if you look at battery powered shades, that's still more than anyone else, especially some of the rechargeable lithium ion battery shades. You might have to go recharge them every 6 months. And Lutron recommends Duracell batteries. However, I'm pretty sure that 21st stocks Duracell Pro Cell batteries.
We do.
That's I tell you, I never buy batteries at Home Depot anymore. Whenever I'm visiting a branch, I just get batteries for the house. So just a quick overview: Triathlon Select shades, exposed bracket with a minimal profile. These can go outside the windows or inside the window, jam mountable. Sometimes in a window, if you're mounting the shade above the trim, these ship with spacers. So you can, if you're mounting to the drywall above the window, you can bring them out a 1/2 inch to cover any trim there. Depending on the width of the shade, it's either a 4 or 5 D cell battery, 2-year battery life, and then they integrate with all the Lutron systems: Homeworks, RA2, Select, RA3, Caseta with the Pro Hub. or just standalone picos. So the available widths are 22 inches to 108 inches wide and 20 inches. So that means the fabric, like the roll widths are 20. Oh, sorry, that's the height. Roll lengths, 20 inches tall to 120 inches high. So these can cover, a wide range of window sizes in any home. One of the things when you do install these that you need to take account for is some windows have a pretty deep frame. We need to make sure that these can basically the depth of the frame is 3.437 inches deep. But if, let's say, you have a 6-inch window frame, you don't want to mount them all the way at the back because you need to leave room for the battery tray to pull out and get access to the batteries. So there's a very easy measuring tool that helps you install these not so too deep where you can't get the batteries in and out. That's very important. So as far as pricing, for the standard fabrics, it's called Haven. There's fixed MSRP pricing. And that fixed price is $5.99 retail if you use the light filtering fabric, and it's $6.49 retail with the blackout. So like I said earlier, we can add these simply with a Pico remote. We've all used Picos before. If you've done Lutron, these are, it's like the Swiss Army knife from Lutron. 10-year battery life in a remote. I mean, I know people that had Picos for 15 years and the batteries are still good. They just work every time. If you have a smart hub, whether it's a RAW 3 processor or a Caseta, you've got the Lutron app. And then, of course, the voice control, Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant. And then if you have control systems that you're using, RTI, Control 4, using any one of those smart hubs, there's integration with those as well. We like to give you options. So how do you measure? It's really simple. For inside mount, you want to make sure the window's deep enough. If it's not, you might need to mount it above the window frame or on the frame itself. And you just measure the width from at the top to the nearest 1/8 inch. You measure the height of the window. It's always good, and we always recommend you add a little extra for the height. It doesn't, impact the price as long as you don't go above 80 inches. And basically that lets you, if you mount it a little higher or lower, it gives you some flexibility. The rest of the fabric will just be on the tube. It just gives you a little wiggle room if you do, end up having to, just to adjust it. And then that's all you gotta do. Yep, go ahead.
I just wanted to throw in there for that point number 1, the inside mount, checking the depth. It does need, we do have 2 different types of brackets, which I think Jason's gonna go over. But for the type A bracket, it is 3 3/4 inches. So you do need a significant amount, 3.5 inches for the type B. So yeah, definitely have to have that. And like he said, the measuring tool is gonna be a perfect thing for you to have to make sure that you do have that depth, which you'll see here in a couple of slides. But if you're planning on an inside mount, that 3 3/4 and 3.5, depending on the bracket type that you have, is critical, or you cannot get the batteries out, which would be a problem. So just wanted to make sure that was noted in there.
Yep. So outside mount, you need to decide if it's going on the trim or above it. It's pretty, a lot of current trim styles is just a flat piece of molding above. So that's a great way to mount it right to that. Some of the, older houses that were built have the sort of trim that's not flat. So it's got some, well, if you see, it looks like this window. I can't tell, but sort of a pattern on the trim. So if there's a pattern on the trim and not a flat space to mount it to that's, 3 inches tall, you might want to just go above the trim and use spacers. Getting ahead of myself here. So if the trim is smooth and flat, then on the trim is great. If it's not, you'll need spacers, and we'll show you when we go over some screenshots of how to quote them, that there's a checkbox, do you want spacers or not? And then you measure the width of bracket to bracket to the nearest 1/8 inch. Measure the height from wherever the top of the bracket's going to be to how far you want the fabric to go down. And just like before, add a little cushion there. And that's it. And if you a good point about adding the extra length, if you need, you can set the limits on the shade to make it stop wherever you want. Some customers might want it to stop for outside mount, like at the bottom of the trim. Some might want it to cover half the trim. So I always just say measure, the whole length of the trim, and you can always make it stop halfway if your customer, so it's a better aesthetic. So speaking of how to help you measure, Lutron designed this measuring tool. And basically if this tape measure wasn't there, you would see some brass thumb screws to sort of lock it in. You loosen those. This thing slides up to, how wide is it?
48 inches.
Yeah, it goes to 48 inches wide. And this sits inside, and you put it up inside the window or above. You lock those thumb screws in so you can, and then you just put a tape measure on it. So you don't have to use this, but it is an easy way. There are these little, if you see here, these sort of little guides flip out to make sure you put this in the window, and it'll make sure that you have enough depth in the window, or if there's so much depth that you don't mount it too deep where you can't access the battery tray. So,
hey, Jason, you said that that measuring tool is it's not required, but it
no, you can use a standard tape measure. This just
probably
makes it
recommended.
easy. Yeah.
Okay.
One of the things that you can also do with this tool that I think is extra valuable is you put the measuring tool in the window frame, and even if you're there installing it, there's a level on this also hidden by the tape measure. And then there are actually holes, if you see right here, where you can just mark the holes and drill them out and just mount the brackets right there. So this is also a installation tool to just help you get it level inside the window and pre-mark your holes. All the dealers that I've talked to about this, I wish Lutron had this 10 years ago. So these shades are, triathlon shades shipped in one box. these will ship in 2 boxes. So one box will have the fabric tube and the hem bar, and the other box is a little flat box. It'll have the left and the right bracket. It'll give you some screws, and then the hem bar end caps and the shade drive. So you'll stick the drive right into the tube. Go ahead, Emily.
Sorry. I was just going to say this is for the type B bracket. So the type A, of course, does ship in one box assembled, but for the type B, which is going to be that set price with that set fabric, and that's in that 48 by 80 size. This is the setup here, the 2-box setup, kind of uninstalled, installed in the field, assembled in the field.
So there are a couple of YouTube videos, and I think these already linked on the Lutron page, Marker. They will be. I guess we'll find out. So there are 3 videos, one on assembly, one on measuring with the measuring tape, and one on using the measuring tool. These are like 2 or 3 minutes. This is how easy these shades are. There's no training class you have to go and attain certification. You can just sign up as a pro, watch these videos, and start ordering today.
Do you need a ponytail to install these shades?
No, but if you have one or a man bun, it makes it go faster.
Makes it,
faster.
yeah, it seems like it'll make it easier, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have enough hair to do that, but for those of you out there with ponytails, I guess Emily's can measure these or install these shades faster than I can.
Right.
So a very, pro tip, some windows are not level. So if you mount it if you assume the window is level, it can basically mounting the shade level is very important. If it's not quite level, as you move the fabric up and down over time, it'll telescope. So the fabric will start to shift to one side as it rolls up, and it sort of tries to auto level itself. So this is, the 2 biggest things that you can do wrong in a shade installation. Number 1 is not measuring correctly. When you're measuring the width, it's especially critical because these are custom made. So if you've got 48 inches and you enter the measurement as 49 inches, you can't just chop them off out there in the field. Height's not as much of an issue as long as you have more height. You don't want your fabric not going all the way to the bottom. And then the second thing is leveling. So there is a little bubble level on the measuring tool, but a laser level is a way to just get it perfect. And then with fabric tubes, if you're out there installing, you've been putting in ceiling speakers or whatever on the project, your hands are dirty. A lot of fabrics homeowners are wanting lighter colors. So if you have greasy hands, either wash the hands or get some gloves. Because the fingerprints on white shade fabric, don't want to start off homeowner invested in some shades and get some hands on there. We'll just wait for their kids or whatever to get spaghetti sauce on there. But that's on them. So selling your first shades. And this is really for dealers that have not traditionally sold shades. We've made some great tools for you to use to show your customer and quickly quote these while you're on site. Obviously every window needs some sort of covering. If there are windows that don't have blinds or other coverings, those are great opportunities. Another key thing, that homeowners don't really think about is, glare or UV damage. One of the biggest values of automated shades is they protect, wood floor finishes or fabric or artwork or glare on the TV. And if, even with Lutron's newer technology and scheduling, if these are part of a, smart system, you can schedule shades. Let's say the one side of the window faces east. So in the morning, the sun's going to be coming in. And so you can schedule these shades to be down in the morning. And then when the sun's not directly shining the window, you can schedule the shades to raise up and then give your homeowner these beautiful views that, they want. And then vice versa on the west side of the house, as the sun's setting, you can make those shades automatically go down in the afternoon to protect their finishes and reduce glare in the home. I think there was a statistic, I can't remember the number, but I think 70% of window treatments are now that aren't intelligent are just stay down all the time. So speaking of the tools, there's a four that we can get. I think these are available now, Mark. We can just get some for the branches, but basically it's a folder that has a homeowner brochure. It has some, samples of each of the fabrics, and then a window cling so that you can just put it up in the window, and so they can see the fabric on their window. And there's also a quoting tool. So if you look, some windows are going to be wider than 48 inches. So we need to know how to price those. So if you look here, sort of a matrix, if you're using the Haven 1% translucent fabrics, any window from, this is your width right here, any window between up to 48 inches, and the minimum size is 22, and up to 80 inches tall is going to be $5.99 retail price. If you go above that to 50 inches, let's say the window's 50 by 70, it's going to be $9.72. If it's 108 by 120, the retail price is $15.05.
I would just say, sorry to interrupt again, but I'll just say this is awesome for Lutron to provide this. I know for you guys, you're super busy, you're at job sites all day, you're doing sales, you're doing installs, some of you are doing, your bookkeeping and all these things at night, and doing quotes takes quite a long time. And to be able to be on site and quickly give somebody a price right out of the gate without them, you having to wait a day or two or three. They might be very interested now. And like Jason said earlier, it's just human nature. You start to second guess yourself on a purchase if you're not, if you have to wait a few days to actually get the pricing. And so to be able to just have this in your, in your bag, in your folder, whatever, and be able to give this right away is pretty powerful, just as a good sales tool. So.
And also, this coding guide is on our website. If you go to the Lutron Select product page, you just type in Lutron Select, and the product page will come out. All of this information, the videos, and the quoting tool is available for you right on our product page on our dealer website.
I'm going to show them.
You are?
Yep.
Great.
But how do I get to it?
You want me to do it?
No, just
Yeah, if you just type in LUT
yeah.
select in the search bar up top, it'll pull right up, and you can see um, pretty much all of the slides. A lot of these slides that you already showed, just how to install it, and then on the bottom there's the quoting tool, the dealer brochure, and if you go to more information, it brings you to the videos and everything.
Okay. So here is the full quoting tool.
You're gonna probably have to unshare your screen, share that.
Okay. You not see it?
No.
Oh. Okay. Well, um, all right. Now we can see it. You see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. So you go, these are the two matrices for the Haven blackout and the Haven in the gray and the white. And so here's that matrix for this, the entire matrix. Now, if you choose some of the other fabrics that are available, so we can make these fabrics in the entire Lutron roller shade portfolio. The pricing is going to be different depending on the level of the fabric. And so you just find if you want Basket Weave 90 is a super popular fabric for years. It's a level 3 fabric. So if you're doing Basket Weave 90, then here's your matrix. So that standard window size goes from um, $5.99 to $7.49. So we've really Lutron's picked some of the most popular colors, the white and gray, that we're seeing being ordered, and really got an aggressive price point for the dealers for standard window sizes, but these other shades fabrics are available as well. And I think, Mark, are you guys working to have this with your dealer price on it too?
Yeah, we're working on
Yeah.
if it mentions you before, we're working on a separate page just for Lutron shades, and it's going to have
Okay.
the matrix with dealer pricing on it as well.
Okay. So using the tool, find the measurement that meets your width requirement, find the height that meets that requirement, go over to where those meet, and then that shade's 972 for 56.5 wide by 75 tall. Now, this shows the list price. There is a 3% shipping charge on all Lutron shades from Lutron that 21st just passes on when you order. So I would highly recommend, unless you want to lose 3 points of margin, to just add that to the quote for shipping and handling. But you don't have to guess at the shipping charges either, because it's a flat 3%. So there's a second example, 42.5 by 72, 42 and 3/8 rather by 72, and that would fit into that fixed price point of $5.99, which most standard windows in a home for a customer that is going to utilize these shades, I would imagine that you'll do a lot of those fixed price points. A traditional size bedroom window, or guest room, or living room. But if they have a couple of larger windows, you can give them an identical looking shade with the same fabric and aesthetic. So other fabric options, like when we showed the guide a couple minutes ago, the Luna fabric is a level 2, and then so find the level 2 table, and then just do the same measurement calculations that you would. Now, I will show, there's this lutronfabrics.com. Once you sign up, and we'll go over this on the next slide, you can go to this site and look at all those other fabrics. So in that example, we showed Luna. So here's the Luna fabric, and then you can check out the fabric, and you can even order a fabric sample. It's like about a 12 by 12 swatch, and then check out your cart, and it'll ship it to you. So you can just order a couple of fabric samples for a customer at no charge. So how to order. How many of you, well, you forget you can't. I guess if you're already a Lutron Pro, type it in the chat box.
Yeah, I created a poll as well.
Oh.
If everybody on there can answer it. I think a few already have.
All right.
Some.
Well, so we can look at that poll afterwards and reach out with anyone that
It's
wants.
split yes and no, but
Okay.
a couple are not sure, and those are the ones
Okay.
we didn't follow up with.
Well, we can check that out too. So it's pretty simple. You go to lutron.com/pro, and then it's apply for the program and create a My Lutron account. Now, once you do that, it can take about a day or two to get processed through the system. Once you have your, pro number and a My Lutron account, then you make a My Lutron account, you go up to the top right under My Profile, and then you go into something called My Projects to build the shades. The first time you log into My Projects, at the top right, it'll say Set My Distributor. And that's where you would go in and enter in your preferred distributor. I know of a very good one. They're hosting the call today. Thank you, Mark, for letting us do this.
21st century.
Yeah, 21st century.
That's what you wanted to say. Okay.
Yeah,
the rule is Mark or me have to say it first, and then Jason can say it. Yes.
So once you set your preferred distributor, then we can start ordering. Basically, what this does is when you quote a shade job and you click Get My Pricing, then it'll email 21st Century those details, and they can, get that into their system, and you can order the shades. So you go into My Projects, and then there'll be a box like Add a Shade. First, you name the project, then you want to name the shade. You want to enter your width and your height. I will say that if there's ever a time when you're going to make a goof, because I've seen it happen even with dealers that have been ordering shades for 15 years, they put the height where the width goes and the width where the height goes. And I would just always double check that. Because if you flip flop those numbers, your shade's going to, show up to you, and it's not going to fit. Then you choose whether it's inside mount or outside mount. If you click outside mount, there'll be another drop. There'll be something that appears as like, do you want spacers? And it defaults to yes. I would just, even if you're going to mount it to the window trim, I would order the spacers. There doesn't impact the price. And then, because you might get on site and, well, I actually can't mount these to the window trim. You need to mount it above. That's another reason to add extra fabric. If I was doing an outside mount shade, I would add 4 inches. unless it puts me over that 80 inches where the price goes up. And so that you have flexibility to mount it above the window if you need. Sometimes that's a customer homeowner sort of preference. They just like to look better. Then you pick your fabric, and then you click save. So then it's going to show you this $649 price if it's a blackout. When my projects get you a quote, you're going to see 2 SKUs on there, but they're going to equal that $649 because they're going to ship you 2 boxes. Once the quote's created, you will click request pricing, and that immediately sends an email to 21st Century. And they'll reach out to you with order confirmation, or generally when you request pricing, you're ready to order these. You're going to know what your pricing is because they're going to make this pricing matrix, and then you can quickly order from them. And if you're within the that standards fixed MSRP size of 48 to 80, 48 wide, 80 tall, if it's that or below, these ship in about 5 business days. If you go to a larger shade than those standard sizes, I think typically right now it's about 15 business days. So all you need is a window and a pro number and an account with 21st Century. That's important. I guess everyone on this call already has that, because you had to go there to register. So that step's done. And then you can, I know 21st is going to have some of these in the branches, but you can also go to lutron.com/triathlon select, and you can request a sales kit and a quote guide, and they'll ship it right to you. If you want to save some paper, we can just get you a digital copy too. You can keep it on an iPad or something like that. So these are shipping now. Are there any questions? Thomas, so these, when we order shades, typically with 21st, they would just drop ship it to your office. If you're near a branch location, you can always have it shipped there and pick it up. Well, is that correct, Mark and Sean? I don't want to misspeak there.
I think you can, or it ships directly to the dealer, right?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way, normally when shade orders are placed, it's just drop ship to the dealer's office. Or we drop ship it to a job site or whatever. I prefer that, I don't know.
I'll jump in, Jason.
If
For the dealers on the call, if you're local to a branch, there's no cost difference, but I advise all my dealers that don't have a physical location where somebody's staffed 24/7, or not 24/7, but 9 to 5, just ship it to your local branch. The nice thing about 21st, as most of you should know, is we have our delivery vans that we have our own employees do. So if you need it delivered to the job site later, we can work that out with you. But just to make sure, our warehouse team obviously all day is good at checking for packages, damage, missing items, things like that. So if you're close to a branch, I would recommend you ship it to a branch.
And if you're not, I would ship it to your office, unless you know exactly when you drop ship things to project sites. I've seen them go missing before.
Right.
Brett, can we do sliders that might be 140 inches wide? Triathlon Select maxes out at 108. With triathlon shades, you can go up to 144 inches wide. Now, anytime you go above 110 inches wide, that's a very wide shade. So it's you have to use something called a wider tube, WIDR. And basically it's carbon fiber reinforced so that the tube doesn't flex in the middle. So that adds some cost there, but we can get to that shade width. Now, with triathlon shades, there's still there's a shade essential certification. It's a different type of shade, some more, we offer hands-on classes in the territory. So if you're not triathlon or shade essential certified, then let us know and we can start. Probably time to do another one of those trainings too, Mark.
Yeah, we have, I believe we have about 5 or 6 Raw 3 live trainings in Q1 next year. So if you're near one of our branches, make sure you check out our virtual conference center and sign up for them. That is going to focus on Raw 3 to be Raw 3 certified, but we're also going to go over Triathlon Select, and I'm assuming there should be some hands-on training for that as well. So just want to throw that out there for Q1. There's going to be we're going to have many live trainings in your area.
Yeah. On January 28th, 2025, it'll be in Nashville and Raleigh on the same day. February 6th will be in Marietta. I think it's, for those of you Florida guys, is that February 12th?
But yeah, I think it's the 18th and 20th in Florida.
Okay.
So check out our VCC. Those will all be, I think we have a few of them posted. The rest will be posted here shortly.
Have any other questions?
No, I think, Emily, thank you. I think you've answered most of them. I appreciate you doing that for us. And I appreciate you and Jason, of course, walking us through this. Again, I think the only thing you just got to keep in mind, if you don't have a Lutron Pro account, get signed up for it. Some great information on our website as well, quoting tool, but because that's all you really need. I mean, this is to help guide you, to help you learn a little bit more about Triathlon Select, but it's very easy. Just need a pro account and you're ready to go. So if you need any assistance with that, reach out to your 21st Century sales rep. We can help guide you through that. But it's a very easy process. That's the whole point of this, is just to make it easy for you to get into starting to sell shades if you don't.
Yep. I mean, I've seen these, you can hang them in 5 minutes or less. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jason. Really appreciate it, buddy. Emily, thank you very much. Again, we have this recorded. If you want to go back and review it, it's going to be on our virtual conference center. Appreciate everybody joining us today, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Happy selling shades, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.